Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first Friday afternoon pre-lockout chat ahead of AFLW Fantasy for round one. The season is very, very close. We have only got an hour and 14 minutes to go before the kickoff of the 2024 AFLW season. I'm your host, Bales, and you can find me at BalesDT across the socials. And I'm joined by my two co-hosts and fellow AFLW Fantasy Fanatics, Jaiden Mitch and Mitch. Jaiden, first, mate, how are you?
Good, Bales. Yeah, very excited to be here. We've got the green little thumbs on our players now. So, yeah, very excited for it all to kick off tonight.
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait. And I'm probably glad it's a double header as well, so we don't just get one, we get both. So I know a few people, especially in the Eastern States, it'll be quite late when that game finishes. But that's why I guess Adelaide's a little bit better. They're half an hour behind and sort of works out well. And people in WA get footy sort of all through the night, which is great. So, and joining us is our other co-host in AFLW Fantasy Fanatics, is Mitch. Mate, how are you?
Good, mate. Yeah, we were just saying before the show started that, the afternoon felt a little longer without the Friday pre-show at the Ball Boys, but no, good to be on and chatting the W game when there's no, obviously, the pre-finals bye week for the men. So we still got footy, still got lots to look forward to.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, plenty of football still to go. I'm looking for the finals next week as well in the men's, but obviously we've got the AFLW this week, which is good. I do like the idea of the fact that the AFLW gets the whole weekend to itself to open the season, and that's sort of where the pre-finals bye does really benefit that as well as hopefully not resting all the men's players in the final round of the season, which we didn't see too much of. But boys, in terms of teams last night, we had a couple of big names out, especially one massive name owned one of your Tigers, Mitch. Isla Sheeran out with what we're hearing is a quad injury. Sounds like she should be back next week, if not, it'd be the week after. But obviously, we're not starting with her. So, firstly, I just want to ask you boys, where did you pivot to? So, Mitch, where did you go from Isla Sheeran? Was it straight to Charlie Thomas, or did you go maybe for a little bit of value?
So I've been trying to find a way to get Geordie Allen in my side. So it caused a little bit of a restructure for me, and so I've gone down to her, and then with Goldrick's kind of questionable tag going into the thing, sort of moved her around. So I've kind of shifted from Goldrick and what am I blanking on the player we just talked about? What am I talking about? Sheeran. Instead of going from Goldrick to Sheeran, I've gone to Darcy and Allen, I think, is sort of my pivot. So we'll see. But it does mean that I've got more of those round 4 double game players in my team, which I think could be a positive thing. And I think it's a shame for Sheeran and the Tigers, but I think in terms of fantasy, when those popular players get dropped or out, it does diversify the ownership a little bit. So makes things a little bit more interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, crisis creates opportunities, as they always say. So, Jaiden, where did you pivot to with Sheeran being? Because I know you had a couple of different options you were considering.
Yeah, I didn't have Goldrick at that point in time, so I just went straight down to her. And then, yeah, I'm pretty set on having 4 midfielders at the moment. So Maddie Prasparkas at M4. It's pretty expensive overall, but yeah, I had spare cash from Sheeran, so I'll go with that for now, see how the weekend plays out.
Yeah, no, I don't mind it. Yeah, I just went straight over to Charlie Thomas just because it worked for my structure. I have thought a little bit about having the 2 forward rookies and potentially going a Charlie Thomas and just having Slicer at D1 and maybe going for I don't even know who'd be a bit cheaper. Do I go extra rookies? Do I go like Goldrick at D2? I think that's probably a little bit too risky, but could get a bit of cash, even maybe down to even like a Karen Peterson, and that might mean I can get like a Ella Smith up to an Ellie Gavalis or a Gabby O'Sullivan or something. So that's sort of what I looked at. But at the moment, Charlie Thomas is there. And Richmond's a decent matchup for defenders. I think the ball will be down there a fair bit, and I think Charlie Thomas will benefit a bit from that. So we did also see Emma Swanson is also out for the Eagles. That's another one. She wasn't too popular, but if you did have her, obviously move her out. We've got a cat invading the podcast. If you guys can see on the... It's hilarious. The cat must be excited for AFLW Fantasy as well, Mitch.
Yeah, there's some Lucas around, so,
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, so Emma Swanson out, probably good for the Richmond mids as well. That's another sort of name out of the mix there. But Do you think this is a good thing for Ella Roberts, Jane? Do you think that maybe she might see an uptick in midfield time? Obviously, we're a bit nervous with the whole bit more forward in the preseason.
Yeah, I think personally it was more that Harkin wasn't picked in the first place because if you watch the West Coast practice game, Roberts was really playing forward, but then Harkin was in the mids and going okay, and then kind of faded away. So then they brought Roberts in. So Harkin's not selected. So pretty much as soon as that, I did try an option there with Ella Roberts at M4 and Swanson out. Yeah, that's fine. But I guess I don't want West Coast to be like so bad because then Roberts won't score. So
yeah. I'm a bit nervous still. The fact that I don't know if I want to pay over $1 million for a midfielder that can go forward, especially for long stints as well. That's my only worry with Ella Roberts. Just like Sam's comment there, orange cat things is what Sam was saying in the chat there as well. But Mitch, is Ella Roberts been someone you've considered, or do you think that a bit too much forward time, bit like me, you're a bit nervous with that?
She was someone I considered like before the practice games and things like that. Like I had, her sort of favorited for a little bit, but yeah, just like you said, the threat of being someone who could potentially not be a full-time mid is not someone I want to start with. I'd still would be keeping a close eye on her, and definitely someone that if, you see some real games and her play a better role that you could, especially before that round 4 double game, pivot into it. But I think it's something that I'd want to see first, at least in a game or two in the real stuff before I jumped in there. I'm a bit risk adverse going in there without seeing it happen in the preseason games.
Yeah, agreed. And then probably the other sort of major thing from teams was Yasmin Dersman today was been an emergency for Carlton. So a few people had her either on their full as their like F5 or on the bench. So obviously you have to move her out. A few good options though there in the forward line, a few rookies, and also Abby McDonald from Geelong is being named emergency as well. She was a very popular D5/D6, but again, I think in defence as well as a fair few rookies. You got a Lulu Beattie, you've got a Dana Finn, you've got a Serene Watson if you want to go up a little bit more as well. So there's a few options for us there. Kate Lutkins as well, who was named and been named on the field, along with I saw Courtney Hodder's been named on the ball. So that could be quite interesting to see if anyone picks Courtney Hodder, because I think she's not a bad pick. So just a couple of rookies that are out, but there's a few pivot options at least. At least we know now instead of it being a late out or anything. But yeah, so we'll get into a heap of your questions, guys, as well. So we'll be live pretty much until maybe 20 minutes to go before the game starts, and then we'll let everyone go and get their teams ready. But if you have got questions and you're tuning in on YouTube or Twitter or even Twitch, we got it linked up there. I don't know if anyone is actually watching on Twitch there, but if you want to leave your questions, and we'll get to as many as we can, then feel free. If you like to leave a super chat, then that would also be fantastic if you want to do that. And then also make sure you join our Open League as well. We nearly got 1,000 people in our Open League this year, which is fantastic. So make sure you do join that. I'll put the links pretty much all over the socials, and I'll just quickly at the start here just give you guys the code, and then we'll get into the questions and stuff. So the code for the Open League is why is it not now? The code's not showing up again. God damn it. Apparently now the AFLW Fantasy site want to take that away. Anyway, I'll find the code and I'll say a little bit after as well. But we do also have a free version of the Content Creators Cup this season as well. So the coaches in that league this year, you've obviously got us three, obviously myself, Jaiden Mitch. Then you've also got the 4 legends over at Free Kick in Liam, Jono, Mel, and Will. And then we've also got Eloise there as well. And then finished off with the sliding doors duo of JS and Jackson. So looking forward to how that goes there. So while I figure up the code, we'll go through a few questions. Before we do, Jaiden or Mitch, is there any sort of thing you want to quickly touch on before we get into people's questions?
I think, I guess we can just kind of go through everything because I think a lot of these questions seem pretty relevant to what my thoughts are as well. But yeah, just quickly on the Content Creators Cup, I saw that JS and Jackson are playing each other in a similar league last year. They played each other and had the exact same team, so they drew. So Probably, I think it's more likely than not that same thing will happen again, knowing those two.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. That'd be very interesting to see. The code here for the Open League as well, for people that want to join, it's A6PC45I2. So that's the code there. A6PC45I2 is the code there. So if you want to rewind it and then get the code and join, make sure you do. It'd be good to get over 1,000 people there in the league. Mitch, anything you want to quickly touch on before we get into some questions?
I just wanted to ask you guys, because I'm still figuring out all the teams and whatnot, but are there any like prolific taggers or tagging teams that we should be aware of heading into the season, or teams you think that are going to tag?
Well, Jaiden, as the scale of hardness man, you've got that on your site. You want to go through this few of the taggers?
Oh, I don't have tags in particular, but I think the main ones from last year, Lucy Single. It seems like from what I've looked at, like the first 3 games for those teams that tag don't really have the best options, especially midfielders. So I'm not too worried. Like Single plays against St Kilda, Carlton, and GWS, so I'm not really picking anyone there.
At least Parker's the only one in round 3, maybe.
Yeah, true. Tanya Kennedy from Sydney, playing Collingwood, St Kilda, and Richmond. So
tonight,
maybe a little bit there, but I guess we'll have to assess that tonight.
Yeah, and then we know.
But I don't know many more.
Kathy Vark sometimes does attention. Her and a Brie Kona might go to a Jazz Garner this week, but I don't expect that to stop her too much.
Okay.
So,
all right. Cool.
Yeah, cool.
We'll see how it all unfolds.
Beautiful. All right, well, we've got super chat here, the first one. So thanks, Tim, for this one here. So he said, should I have 3 rookies in the forward line and Riddell to Blackburn, or upgrade one of the forward rookies to someone? So, Jaiden, what are your thoughts on the 3 rookies in the forward line? Are you happy with that? And then having Riddell, or would you go Riddell down to like a Blackburn or even a Prasparkas or an Ellie Anderson, and then upgrade a rookie in the forward line to someone?
I don't mind the 3 rookies in the forward line, just because we're a little bit unsure about what the top end will be. But I also like Blackburn. Riddell doesn't have the best run. Blackburn does have some good matchups if you can kind of trust the Bulldogs. Blackburn has been...
Oh, this is pod. No.
Babs, you'll get a super chat out of this, so surely it's worth it.
No, I'm joking. I've pretty much said on every pod I'm quite keen on Blackburn as an option anyway, so I can't really hide it too much. But
yeah, she's been in and out of my team, and could still end up there. So
yeah,
I think if you can get to like the big 3 forwards with Blackburn, then I would probably do that. Purely because you just got that bit more safety, but I probably wouldn't take a punt with like a 700k player if it doesn't really help you out that much.
Yeah, beautiful. I think I agree as well. Detached Edits has got this question here. So he says, are we starting a red dot to VC loop, or starting all green dots and just playing captain? So I should get your boys' thoughts on this. What score would you need? I think a lot of people, because obviously the thing we've got to note is I've put a lot of people playing Eilish O'Dowd, obviously with Lily Pearce being not named for Geelong. That was another one that wasn't named for Geelong if you had her move her out to Eilish O'Dowd. But what score would you need to see from, I think, Laura Gardner and Mon Conti are the 2 main ones, because Giants play early tomorrow. Jaiden, what score would you need to see from a Conti or a Gardner tonight, or even a Benici if anyone had her out there? What score would you need to be considering a red dot?
My answer will be around the assumption that you do have Marinoff. So if you do have Marinoff, I think you pretty much have to captain her. Like, if you're picking her, then you need to captain her, because you're only going to get her as captain for the next 3 weeks, because then you're going to be captaining the double round players. Otherwise, Otherwise, you wouldn't pick her. So probably like a 150 from Conti tonight would make me consider. But yeah, I have Marinoff. So like, the only reason I'm picking her is to be my captain for the first 3 weeks. So I don't really want to, like, I'll obviously have Conti as vice captain. So
give it.
I will have a go, but it's going to have to be like 140 plus, I think, to even think about it, because why would I pick Marinoff if I'm not going to captain her? So like, that's pretty much where my head's at with that.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yep. I'm probably 130 to consider the red dot, and I'm probably a bit more. I'll just keep Marinoff personally. I don't want to get rid of her and don't want to sort of change. And then she goes 160, and so well, I've missed out on points there. So, but 130 probably for me. Mitch, obviously is a non-Marinoff owner. This might be a little bit more interesting for you. What are you looking at for a Moncon tonight to bring in a red dot and take that as your VC?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think I'm pretty much confirmed that I will be running the gauntlet against Marinoff. And so if I did have Marinoff, I think I'd be with you, Bales, 130. She got 130 in 50% of her games last year. So that seems like a bit of a coin flip for me. So if I got the 130, I'd be happy to take that. For someone like me who doesn't have an Ebby Marinoff, probably something more like a 120, something between a 115 and a 120 would really make me think. I've always been very conservative with my captains, especially early in the rounds. But 120, and I would definitely roll, because it's not, for someone in my situation as well, it's not just the first week. I want that option and that flexibility for the next couple of weeks as well, because I'm going against a very popular heavy captain in Noffy. So even if it's like not a monster score, it still will be useful for me throughout the season. But I do believe that the O'Dowd Ruckman is solo rucking.
That's what makes it more interesting as well. So Fleur Davis is not being named, so she'll be solo ruck, which makes it a bit more interesting.
So I was pretty set to go with and I'll actually tweet earlier, Jaiden, with the St Kilda Ruckman. I was pretty set to do that, but now I'm going to need a little bit of a solid score. So if I don't get a 120, I might still just start O'Dowd and hopefully the cash is worth it.
Yeah. Well, as someone that's got both Conti and Gardner, who are you going as your VC? Are you going for Mon Conti over Gardner as your VC this week?
I've actually swapped it. I don't have Gardner anymore. I'm sitting there with Ash Riddell in my M1. More for double round. I keep going to say buy round structure, but it's not buy round structure. It's double game structure. So just diversify that a little bit more in my team. But no, I will have the VC on Mon Conti tonight. West Coast seems like a good matchup, and again, it's the one beforehand. So
and I'm assuming Charlie Robon will be your captain as well.
Yeah, Charlie, my girl. She's I'm expecting a big year from Charlie. I think she could rival Noffy. I reckon they could be pretty close this year.
Yeah. That'll be very interesting. I've got Marinoff captain and Conti vice, and I know Jaiden has got the exact same as well. So what do we got here? So Sean's got this question: which trio would you guys go? Blackburn, Wales, and Vesio, or Pritchard, Edmonds, and Hodder? So Jaiden, which combo? Blackburn, Wales, and Vesio, or Pritchard, Edmonds, and Hodder?
I'll go number 2. They all have the doubles early, so you've got an exit plan pretty quick if something goes wrong. So that's probably what I'll do.
Yeah, I'll agree. I think it's a bit more flexibility as well. You can maybe downgrade someone at some point in the second one, whereas I think the first one, there's a couple of question marks with a couple of the players. Well, I feel pretty safe enough with Edmonds. But is there any worry, Jaiden, with the fact that Georgia Borg's been named for the Bulldogs as well? They've now got 2 rucks. Is that any worry? I know it's a great matchup on paper against the Giants, and especially with just O'Dowd solo ruck. But is there a slight worry for you with that now?
Yeah, it's a bit of a consideration because last year they didn't play together after Borg got signed on mid-year. But at the moment, I'm holding firm because I don't really love the other options anyway, and I think if it doesn't look great, then I've just got to commit till round 4 and then go for Morfitt or whoever's going a bit better. But I'm sticking with it for now. I just think having GWS and West Coast before the double, it's pretty... hopefully that offsets any small amount of ruck time that's shared. No, I don't mind the play there. But jump on Jess Allen. I'm still a fan of Jess Allen as an option. And even with Caitlin Gould there, I think that might be more responsibility for Jess Allen this week there as well. So we've got Detached. It also says we're replacing Sheeran with Emma Carney
Mitch. What are your thoughts on Emma Carney's option? She's obviously normally quite safe, but is there as much value there? Are you happy to pay for just a safety at D1, or would you prefer maybe to go down and maybe save a bit of cash?
This is, again, just a philosophy of mine without knowing these players as well as I probably should appearing on a podcast. But just like a 35-year-old max price defender, it's not something that I would usually like launch into. Like a different story when you're talking about like a Kate Luckins who's, rookie price, there's only really upside from there. But just the general trajectory of most player's career, unless your name is Dane Zorko, at 35, usually it's a downward trend. So the way I play the game is you're looking for value, and typically 35-year-olds is not where you're going to have the value in most cases when they're one of the more expensive players. So I'd probably look for something a bit cheaper. Yeah,
and I'm still a fan of if you're just doing a straight swap, I still think Charlie Thomas is the way to go, especially she's got the early double game week. And then, I think she'll be very solid with West Coast, probably struggling a bit this year as well. So IT says Blackburn and Ramos or Anderson and Breed, Jaiden. Where are you leaning to there? I'm probably leaning to the second option.
Yeah, I don't know much about Ramos, so I think Breed just is a must-have. So, yeah, that one looks solid.
On field?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I know people have considered having Goody and Breed on field. I think it could work purely because you've got, if you're also picking Piper Window, then you can have kind of three of them. And next week, Port are playing against Bulldogs. So, yeah, they could go all right. So if Breed doesn't work out on field and you're starting Window in the M6, then you could swap them around.
Yeah, exactly. And also, if people didn't know as well, that game has been moved next Friday night to the MCG, which I don't know what you boys think, but personally, it's probably good. I think it's a good thing that the AFLW gets moved to the MCG. I'm sure the girls get a kick out of playing on the MCG as well. Obviously, there's no games. Like the last time I remember being a game at the MCG for AFLW was when Melbourne played North Melbourne, would have been a couple of years ago before one of the finals. So I've always thought that we should be playing at like Marvel stadiums and stuff like that. That's where the AFLW at some point down the line we're going to be playing at the big ground. So yeah, I think it's a good thing personally. What do we got here? So Says has got this one here. So he says Conti, Matty Prasparkas, Parker, Beeson, and another upgrade. I don't quite get the question is Says. Maybe just put it through in again, Says, and then with the question, then we'll be able to read it out for you. Josiah Hall says, who would you field out of Finn and Beatty? So, Mitch, who have you got on field out of the two current rookies?
This is a very good question because this is a question that I have been asking myself. At the moment, I've only got one player on my team, and that's Finn. Why is that? She scored more in the preseason game, so I can't tell you much more than that. Not too educated on these two players, so I'll throw it up to you guys if you guys have a differing opinion. But at the moment, I've got Finn on my bench, and I don't have Beatty. Yeah.
Jaiden, where are you leaning with it?
Yeah, I have Finn on field and Beatty on the bench. Mainly, like Finn was Carlton's top scorer in the practice game, which is pretty difficult to do. And yeah, I think if she's playing on the wing, that's a bit better than playing in defence. And also, Karen Peterson is back, so there could be some shuffling in defence. So I'm not entirely sure how that will look, but I'm a little bit worried about one of them. They could be, they might not be used all that much compared to the practice game.
It's a good point though. Like I don't feel like you luck into being the highest scorer in the game in Dana Finn. So 21 touches, 7 marks also really stands out as well. Like finding space is big, and obviously when she's open, they're giving it to her. So as much as sometimes we can over hype the preseason games, like when it's that obvious, I tend to put a bit of stock into it.
Yeah. I would, I've currently got B on field, and that's purely because I saw Liam did his team field this morning, and he's got BD on field. So, and he was saying about having a better role, and I didn't get to watch that game. So, obviously, I'm more looking at other people's information for that. So, I've got BD, but I think it's rookie roulette at the end of the day, right? You're probably going to bench one, and that'll be the worst score out of the two. So, let's hope they score out the same and it doesn't matter for too much. Mitch,
do we think they're both? I was just going to say, do we think they're both must have? Like, for example, would you use like a utility position to have one of them there, or would you rather someone like another like base and price like Caitlin Wedland or something like that as your utility?
I'm probably looking for the mid rookies. I've got a mid rookie on my. So I've got Window on my bench. I've got Breed. No, I've got Window on my utility and Breed on my bench. But I think I'd rather Wendland. I think in utility there. But
that's what I'm not. I don't.
I don't mind having one of Beatty or Finn on the field than one on the bench. But I think you've probably got more upside with the mid rookie. Jaiden, are you agreeing with that?
Yeah, I think if you are going to have a defender in the utility, then you probably need two mid rookies on field, like with that structure. Probably.
Yeah, that's a good point. Corey Blackledge, thoughts on Thomas and Conti or Riddell and Daisy Darcy, Jaiden? Which combo?
Sorry, I've scrolled away from the questions list here. Thomas and Conti versus Riddell and Darcy, is that the one?
Yeah.
Well, I have Thomas and Conti at the moment, so I'll go with that.
Yep, I'd agree with that. And Mitch, you'd agree with that as well?
I've got 3 out of the 4 players. The only player I don't have is Thomas. I'd go the Darcy option.
Riddell and Daisy Darcy.
I want the better mid, I think. I think the defenders you can flip a coin most weeks.
Shano's got this one. Rowbottom or Garner, Mitch?
Oh, Rowbottom. I'm Rowbottom's number 1 fan. She's an animal. I love watching her. She looks like just a different player out there to everyone else. So my bold claim is that she's going to top average this year out of everyone in the comp. That's my bold call.
Yeah, well, that's why you're not starting with Marinoff, mate, because if you thought she's going to top, you probably would start with her. So we got another super chat here. Thank you very much, Rawza238. So he says, Riddell or Gardner? Jaiden, this is a good one. Who are you picking out of those two? Obviously, very closely priced at the top end of the mids.
I think Riddell for me. She's been more in my team. I know I had Gardner a few weeks ago, but I think just having it's not the best run. So North have the worst or second worst fixture for mids to start in the first 3, but I think like North have a solid few players in there, so she can probably be okay and avoid some attention, especially from Brisbane and Melbourne. Does Geelong have defensive as well? Tag a role, maybe. Oh, I don't know. Well, yeah, I was on Riddell, but I think maybe I might have to. Well, I don't have either of them. But yeah, if I like Riddell a bit more because I think she's done it for a bit longer of a time, and Gardner, she could be. I think there's a bit more going on at Sydney this year, so I'm kind of a bit more keen to see how that goes.
Yeah, I think that for me, I think both are really good, and I think Riddell will average more for the season. But I think this could come down to if you've got Conti in your team or not. Because if you don't have Conti, you can put Gardner in your team as one of your midfielders and have her as the VC tonight and see how she goes. That would be sort of my thinking. And Collingwood's a decent matchup as well. So I don't know what Sydney's run to start the season is, Jaiden, there. But I think that Collingwood obviously is a pretty good matchup week 1. What's it looking like for Gardner with their run?
Well, they both have negative starts to the year, so both in the worst 5 runs. Collingwood's red on mine, so.
Oh, is it really? Okay, maybe I was off with that. Maybe I've still got the men's in my head, thinking Collingwood's a good matchup.
Yeah, they are.
Maybe Davey out maybe is a good thing.
Yeah, I think that is a key factor though. You need to weigh up no Davey.
Yeah.
I had this decision with my own team, and I landed on Riddell. Simply, the tiebreaker for me was just the balance of my team and how many double game rounds I had in each round. So, for example, Richmond shares week 5 with North, but Sydney have the one where there's six teams playing the double game round. So
That's a good point. Yeah.
My tiebreakers, I'm just trying to spread it out, similar to like how I'd approach the buys. And if you start with someone like a Riddell, come round 6, you could trade Riddell to a Gardner and get both of them for double games. Now, obviously, we're projecting 5-6 weeks in advance. Shit might happen. You might not be able to do that, but at least that way you give yourself the opportunity. Whereas the opposite, you spend more trades getting the same thing to happen. So that was how I split them, because I see them very different, very similarly, I should say.
Yeah. All right, we'll all agree. I reckon Riddell's. I reckon the pick. I reckon I was a coin flip for me, but we'll go with Riddell there. Tim Astro's got another super chat here. Thanks, mate. So he said, should I replace Webster with Thomas? So Jaiden, what are your thoughts on Beck Webster as an option, and would you replace her with Charlie Thomas?
Yeah, I don't mind it. Geelong have the best opening fixture out of any team, apart from Brisbane, who get a double in that time. So, Geelong, very solid. West Coast is bottom 3. So I think if you're trying to go against Thomas, she can, I still am a little bit unsure about Thomas, purely because we're all picking her to be a keeper. So everyone is talking about how she has the early double. I'm not really sure how that interacts with being a keeper for the whole year, because it doesn't matter who you pick, everyone will get a double as long as they play. So I'm still a little bit unsure about the logic behind that. That's been doing my head in a bit.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, Jaiden. I'm one of those people. But no, I'm also picky just with the fact that I think West Coast will struggle. And I think I'm not going to be able to get every player on my team as a double game week player. So Charlie Thomas, she's got the first one, but I think she'll be safe even throughout the whole season anyway. That's probably why I've got her at the moment. But I have looked at a couple of other options as well there. So there we go. There was a question from Jack, and this is a very good question. Wait, Mitch, were you going to say something there?
I was just going to say, I think if you just with the Thomas situation, because she has the first one in terms of those double game rounds, if you don't get her in by that double game round, you've got to be willing to then not have her until after round 7, if that makes sense. And if that is something that you don't want to do, then maybe it's easiest just to start her. But again, my thoughts are in defense. I don't feel like anyone in defense really is going to kill you if you go against them, kind of thing. She's expensive, so. Personally, I'm not too worried about going against her. But if you were, and if you wanted to make sure you've got what you think might be the top defender, and just lock that in, because after round 4 comes and goes, you're going to be only trading in people who have the double game round coming up, whereas she would have already had hers. So makes no sense to trade her in after she's already had it.
Yeah, no, good point there. Got a question for Jack, and I'm also pondering this exact question: Hodder or Brennan? Who are we going, boys, as our probably F3?
These sound like all the questions I've submitted, because I swear these are all the questions I've had over the last week.
Mate, the AFLW Fantasy community, they're all switched on. They're the great questions that we're getting through. So I'll start with Jaiden. Where are you going? Are you Hodder for a bit saving of the cash there, or Katie Brennan with those good matchups early?
I have neither, but much more comfortable with. Hang on, how much price difference is there?
Katie Brennan's at 9.27 and Hodder's at 9.7.
Yeah, I still think Brennan. I think Hodder, cool. She's been named in the midfield. That just changed, but that can change 1 hour before the bit. I don't know. I don't really want to bank my whole pick just on the lineup. If you weren't picking her before and now you've seen the lineup and you're like, oh yeah, let's pick her now. I just don't really think that makes a lot of sense to me. And yeah, she did play a little bit of mid, I think, in the practice.
Second half she did.
But yeah, in that first half, she did nothing. Yeah. And there was no Ali Anderson. So Yeah,
and they've still got Belle Dawes. They've got Kathy Spark. They've got Ellie Hampson's been talked about as getting a bit more midfield time this year. So it's a good point. And if Hodder's resting forward for a lot of the game, then we could see some quiet games in these tougher ones. So it'd be very interesting. And I like Brennan for the fact that of her early run as well. Like she's got West Coast tonight, GWS, Sydney, then Carlton, then she's got the double against Port and North Melbourne. So I just, especially 3 of the first 4. The Sydney one could be quite an end-to-end game. Obviously, we saw Hegel with Sydney were, but I think Richmond will have a really good year this year. So I like the early run for Katie Brennan. I want to bank in some of those points up forward. Mitch, who are you leaning to in the forward line?
At the moment, I've got Hodder sitting in my side. There was a period where I had Brennan in there as well. I think this is where I'm just going to take a bit of a punt, like a bit of a crack at true mid-pricer. It sounds as though that if she is given the opportunity, she can do really well with it. And with an early double game round, I want to just at least have the opportunity to try that lottery ticket. And if it works out, it could be big for my team. And if not, there's a few different places I think I can pivot to. So I'm Hodder at this stage, but yeah, I have had both in my side at points. So
yeah. And beautiful. Thanks, Jaiden, for putting in the league code for me. I just set there. So the league code is on the screen for anyone that wanted to join our AFLW Fantasy Fanatics Open League there. So the code is on the screen. I probably should have just done that myself and typed it in myself and then put up on the screen. But Jaiden is the brains here, so he was able to put it on the screen. So thanks for that, mates. That's the code there. All this question is going to get a bit of a divide. GBC, Maddie Prasparkas or Ellie Blackburn? Well, based on our teams, it's Ellie Blackburn for me, and you both have got Maddie Prasparkas. So is that the way that we're all leaning out of the two? Well, I'm assuming that's the way we're leaning out of the two. So sort of anyone want to comment on the two players or anything?
I think Prasparkas' run is really good to start the year and better side. So usually you would equate that with more fantasy scoring. I guess the thing that Blackburn has is the early double game round, but
yeah. My plan is to trade her to Ghana in round 5. That's my plan.
Yeah, well, it's a good plan. So I'm not gonna vehemently disagree with it, but
vehemently, that's a different one. Right?
If I could, I might go up, but I literally am 7,000 short to get there. So not enough for me to restructure. So yeah, Prasparkas sits there at the moment.
Jaiden?
So my thinking on Blackburn and why I didn't end up there, because she was in quite a lot.
Is that because of me? Is that because of me?
No, not at all. But yeah, both have a decent fixture. Like Prasparkas is clearly better with Freo's straight first up. Like that's something you will want. And I can imagine people could chase something like that if they see her come out and score 130. Like, I would love if everyone came out and chased that. But the decision maker for me, like if I want a midfielder for round 4 because I want to have a captain, I don't know 100% if I could trust Blackburn with that. Because the real killer is that Brisbane and Collingwood are the other two teams there. So there's Anderson and Bonici potentially around the same price or even cheaper. Probably not by then, but I think I have more trust in them because of the fact that they get to play against the Dogs and West Coast, which is like the two probably best outcomes you could ask for. So I don't think I would captain Blackburn. Like if I was making the decision right now at round 4, who I want to bring in, do I want to bring in Blackburn or Anderson or Bonici? I don't think I would pick Blackburn. So I can't see myself starting with her if I'm not going to captain her in round 4.
Yeah. I guess I was planning on captaining her that week or whatever. But with Anderson, I think that she could rest one of those games because they're both quite easy games for Brisbane there. So I think there's a chance that they gets rested. Whereas I don't know if the former captain of the Bulldogs in even a couple of tough games, she's gonna rest. They're gonna want to play her, and we know that Blackburn is sort of play. I think we'll play both. That's sort of my thinking behind that. But no, it is a very good point though, with a couple of tougher matchups there. What do we got? We'll keep smashing to these questions, guys. Keep sending them through, and we'll get to as many as we can. Go for live for about another 10, 15 or so. So Jack says, are you guys all Pounger and Tripodi on field? Yes, I've got both. Jaiden?
Yep. Yeah, they're there at the moment.
Yeah, they're both on my field.
Yep, cool. So all round, we got them on our field there. And Jenna Bruton being out for North as well is a good thing for Tripodi this week, even in a tough matchup. So that is good there. Andy also went, he said he also went Sheeran to Darcy as well, Mitch. So there you go. You got another person there that's done that exact same. I think a few people have, because Daisy Darcy was named in the midfield. So we'll see if she does play a bit of midfield. She looked, well, report she looked pretty good in the midfield in the second half of their practice game. So something to note there. Damon Snell, thoughts on Goldsworthy? Easy matchup against the Dogs. Jaiden, any interest in Goldsworthy, or do you think that there is a chance, a bit like Ella Roberts, that she could just go forward at times?
Yeah, there's question marks around the role with kind of a solid group of players back compared to last year, when they were just struck by injury absolutely everywhere. And it was really a one-woman team there for Goldsworthy. So good on her for dominating. I don't really want to start with a questionable role, and doesn't get a double till round 7. So it would be, if I was picking someone with a questionable role, it'd be Roberts, because then I have an exit plan. So yeah, I like the thinking there. We've got a super chat as well from Sam. Thanks, mate. He said Cynthia Hamilton, Ash McCarthy, Hodder, Gavalis, or O'Sullivan for F3. So, Mitch, who's your favourite option out of those there?
For me, it's Hodder. She's sitting at my F3. I think a few of them are slightly different price points here, though. I think O'Sullivan and Gavalis.
O'Sullivan and Gavalis are in the 500. I think Ash McCarthy might be in the 500 or 600s, and I think Hamilton's also in the 500s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so the ultimate thing is, what can you do with that cash? But I think the upside of Hodder is the highest of all of them, plus the early game, double game round just has me leaning that way. But again, take what I say with a grain of salt, man. I don't know a whole lot about these players, but I'm trying my best.
Yeah. Jaiden, thoughts?
Yeah, Hodder. I don't really like any of I don't really like any of the others. I have O'Sullivan, so that's where my head's at.
Yeah, I'm Hodder as well. I'm still not completely shutting the door on Gavalis just yet. I know the role wasn't great, but they did bring her in. There was talk all pre-season she's going to play mid. So she's one I'll be watching in round 1 and may jump on in round 2 if she has a good game, but just someone to watch there. But Mitch, mate, see, you said Hodder, and we're all agreeing with you, mate. So you're on the right track. Don't worry. It's all good.
Genius. No, the other thing is if you go if you're flipping between two different players, you go the more expensive one. It is always easier, because chances are you're going to get it wrong. We always make the wrong decision. But if you go the more expensive one, it's much easier to transition across. And it's easy to make the cash now when you can do a million different little trades than when you're restricted with 3 trades to, cull someone maybe you don't want to in order to get that move up. So when in doubt, go the more expensive one at this stage, and then it's an easy switch later. Yeah.
Jason's got the question saying how many people have signed up. So that'd be a good question. I'm sure that the AFL Fantasy account that on Twitter and that will actually put it out how many people have signed up when the game starts, because people keep signing in. Even tomorrow morning, people just keep signing up. So Mitch, I think you're quickly looking there. How many people have currently signed up? Do you know?
No, I was simply just looking at Twitter.
I posted earlier today that 42,000 people had signed up. So that's where it's at right now. I'm just checking so it's below 43,000 still. I'll have to kind of type in the ID, and if it doesn't come back with anything, then that person hasn't signed up yet. So that's kind of how it works. But about 43,000, I would say.
That's massive. That's it was what 30,000 last year. So that's already a 12,000 increase on last year. And then I think it's going to keep going up. It could hit 50,000 by the end of the weekend, which would be fantastic. Corey Badge got a super chat here as well. Thank you very much, mate. He said, thoughts on Conti and Thomas or Riddell and Days. I think we answered this one before, I'm pretty sure. I reckon we answered this exact same super chat. I reckon someone had that, or we answered a question that was very similar to this. But I think me and Jaiden were Conti and Thomas, and I think Mitch was Riddell and Darcy's. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, I think so. I do want to talk about Darcy. So, like, what? I've seen her name everywhere, and like, wasn't someone that I've considered before now. So, like, what are the reasons behind Darcy, and like, why everyone's pretty keen? Like, coming from someone who pretend I have no idea.
I think that the reason people have jumped on her is the fact that, well, Katie Lynch being there is going to free her up to not play that right down in defence. She'll be able to be the distributor going through the middle of the ground. Gold Coast, I think, from what people said, got a decent early run as well. And I think the fact that there's a chance that she may get some midfield time, that's the upside of that. But I think it's mainly with Katie Lynch being there, that'll free her up a bit more. That would be my thinking behind it anyway. But maybe someone else has got a different sort of opinion on it. But that's probably what I'm thinking.
She's got a decent early run too. Like St Kilda, Carlton, GWS first three is pretty solid. Whether or not she's defence or mid, I think all three of those are okay according to your scale of hardness here, Jaiden. So that's also a tick in her favour. And I think the more midfield time's the main thing for me in terms of the potential, I guess. And she was pretty, based on her scores last year, like fairly consistent. Only the two scores below 50, and they were both 44, 46. So no real stinkers, which in defence is kind of sort of what you're hoping for anyway. So yeah, a little bit of upside with a decent floor.
Yeah. Matt says, not sure you can rival my row bottom fandom, Mitch. Let's say we are number one fans. Good luck, fellas. So.
All right, I'll cop that with you, mate. That's fine.
Yeah. Christian, Allen over Slicer, too risky. Jaiden, thoughts? I don't want people to overthink the Slicer thing personally. I think she's just got.
Yeah, like underpriced due to injury is like the kind of the easy way to think about it. It
was a monsoon, as Liam says last week as well. So I don't think we can take too much from the.
But Allen had 9 marks.
That's impressive in the. Yeah, that's what I mean. So I'm probably more thinking, could you have both? That's probably what I'm thinking. Could you have both? That's
Yeah, I'm weighing up both as well. The small flag is they have the worst run for defenders, so I don't know how much extra there'll be, but you're really just hoping to get to round 4. But I think like I'd probably expect Slicer to be closer to a keeper.
Could Slicer get off to a slow start? Like, am I right in saying that she like broke her nose or something like that in the preseason?
She copped a whack in the face. I think she was all good from it. I think it started. I'm not sure if it was broken, but it could be. I don't know. I haven't read anything about it, but I think she'll be fine. She'll be raring to go first game, proper game, full preseason for a couple of years. So I think she'll be raring to go. That's what I reckon.
Around with that before the Sheeran news, like I was having this question. I did have Allen in there over Slicer simply because I wanted the cash to turn some other players into better players, but I've got both now. But I think it's a legitimate question because of the cash difference. It's over 100k.
Yeah, exactly. Jude Axford, who would you change for Roberts out of Marinoff, Rowbottom, Gardner, or Blackburn? Well, then if you want the lock, it's Marinoff, but I think Rowbottom is arguably the best value for money, probably out of the forward, Jaiden.
Rowbottom.
Yeah, Rowbottom. I think you just have to start with it.
And we know Mitch is row bottom as well. So
there's $200,000 difference. $200,000. It's not chump change.
Yeah, whatever makes you sleep. Not Mitch. No. So what do we got here? We've got a couple more questions. We'll nearly wrap up there as well. We got another super chat from Sam. So thanks, mate, for this one. He says, which option for last 2 defenders on field? Watson and Jess Hosking, Beattie and Gay with Finn on the bench, or Beattie and Goldrick? The last option, I think.
I'm currently the last one. The last option. But what are you guys' thoughts on Watson as an option? Where do we think she can get to this year?
Jaiden?
Yeah, I kind of talked about it last time we were here. I couldn't really find anything to suggest that. Like, kind of what I was hoping to see was that she was playing like pure key defender, but she wasn't.
Yeah, we had Paige Trudgeon there that frees her up a bit more.
Yeah, so like I was hoping to see that she was like so low averaging because she was playing key defense, but she wasn't entirely. So
Do we have kick-in data?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like that was there, and she did have a little bit of that last year, and like she was practically getting kick-ins and then not doing anything else. Like there was like games where she would score 30 and she had like 3 kick-ins. So like
for me, she's a watch for round 1.
Yeah, I'm pretty keen to just like see what she scores, and yeah, potentially get her in after that. But yeah, she's been kind of in and out for me. Yeah,
it's a interesting option, and definitely one I'm considering. But yeah, I think I'm probably going to watch her week 1. I don't think she'll get away from you if she goes well, and it'll be good to see a game, and then you can jump on. All right, there's so many questions here, so appreciate everyone that has tuned in so far and has smashed through these questions. It's there's a lot more questions than definitely what I anticipated. So thank you very much to everyone that's tuned in live so far. What have we got here? Jack said thoughts on Bresnahan as an option. Jack, go Jaiden for this one.
Yeah, good option. Obviously underpriced due to the injury. I would be a little bit careful because I don't think she played. Oh no, she did play. She did play in the practice game, so there you go.
She had a good first quarter apparently, but then didn't do too much after that because Emma Carney's still the main player back.
Yeah, so that's the worry with both of them. Like they're both there, and is still a little bit unsure. So I think around that price, you're better off to go for someone who you can, be a bit more confident in to be kind of that main person back there. Because this was the same issue we had last year with Carney. Like we were thinking, what's going to happen in defence? She should share it around more now that she's getting older, but she didn't. I'm a watch for now. And I also think like you could go for Karen Peterson, also very similar, with the reduced price due to some not playing enough games last year, and so that's probably where I'm leaning a bit more than Bresnahan.
Yeah, I'd probably lean to Karen Peterson as well. It's obviously not great. She didn't play any preseason games, but I think she's still not a bad option. Andrew Griffiths, is it crazy to drop Bonnie Toogood? And then he's got a couple of combos there. So Mitch, obviously you're the person that not starting the high price players, mate. Is Toogood a little bit different though? Is it just because she's just a level above the other forwards, you just have to start her, or is there a case where you could not start her?
I feel less confident going against Toogood because of the options you're pivoting towards. You know, like I've always said, like I'm going against Snuffy, but I've got Ash Riddell, I've got Charlie Rowbottom, I've got Monconti, I've got Sparkers. Like my midfield's good. So it's not like I don't feel like I'm missing out too much on a player like that. Whereas Bonnie Toogood, like who are you going to, and the cash you're saving, that's always the X factor, right? Like what are you doing?
What can you do on the other end?
Yeah, and is that going to be worth it? And so that's why it's safer to go with these more expensive top of their line players because they're known quality, right? So there's probably more upside in fading a player like that because they've just got so much more room to disappoint than they do to impress. But there is risk, especially in a forward line where a lot of the commentary is it's hard to pick someone out from the pack that's going to shoot up. Whereas I feel like the midfield, it's easier to sort of pick people that can, on at least a short-term basis, kind of match those kind of players.
Yeah. And then I'll go to the second part to Jaiden. He says, Wales and Hoare or Ali Morpher and Katie Brennan?
I've seen Wales' name put around a fair bit, purely like, what did she score? Like 125. I would be like, I did look at Wales like to see who she was playing this week. I'd be a little bit worried against Carlton, purely because what have they picked, like 3 rucks or only 2? I don't know.
The Moody sisters and Jessica are all playing, so yeah.
Yeah, so I don't really love that at all.
Jess Allen for me is the mid-price ruck if you're going someone.
Yeah, so I think Morfitt is playing, so she's got a question mark a little bit over her, but
what does she miss the preseason game with?
I don't actually know off the top of my head.
Yeah, she's just injury. I'm not actually sure.
I'd always be cagey starting someone who didn't play the practice game, but
yeah, that's just. If you can do it, Andrew, I'd go Allen and Kate Hoare. That's what I'd be doing if you want to change the ruck and you're happy to go Allen instead. I'd go Allen and Hoare. But no, it's an interesting one with the combos there. So I'm
thinking I'm thinking Kate Hoare's a pretty good pick by the sounds of her role and what she can do. So I'd be pretty keen to lock her in.
Yeah, I would agree. Tony Forward says, can you play O'Dowd on field? I would say no, just because there's no Lily Pearson, there's no other real rookie ruck options. If O'Dowd isn't doing it, where are you going? You're going to have to do a complete restructure. You probably got to trade a player you don't want to. So I think it's easier to even go mid-price ruck, even like someone in the Jess Allen, Lucy Wales price range, because it's not. If O'Dowd scores a 70 or 80 and you want to restructure after, I think it's easy to go down and do it that way than start with O'Dowd on field. So I think O'Dowd R2, but I'd be going for someone a bit safer as your ruck on field there. We've got a couple more here before we wrap up, because we're only at the bottom of the list of questions. There's been a few that I've skipped past just because I know that we've answered them already, but appreciate people putting them in because it's been fantastic. It'd be good to see how many comments have come in because it's been great from everyone. Ellie McKenzie at M4 thoughts, says Chris. Jaiden, what are your thoughts on Ellie McKenzie at M4?
Yeah, I'm paying up at M4, so it's something I've considered like downgrading to a mid-pricer. I guess for me, it's more down to the fact that I have Conti and I don't really want both of them. And it does always feel like McKenzie will be a better AFLW player than a fantasy player. So
it's a bit LDU in a way, like that sort of player. I think they'll be a better actual player than fantasy.
Or I kind of have like Chad Warner in my head.
Yeah, Chad Warner as well. Yeah, they're on the. I'll put them on the same bucket. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably thinking with my structure having Maddie Prasparkas at M4. Like if she goes really well, then I can just downgrade like one of my mids.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Yeah. What do we got here? Fast Rate Frenzy. Do you guys have Conti? Yeah, yep. I've got Conti. I think we've all got Mon Conti in our team. So, yep, she's owned by everyone here. Jude Axford, Roberts or Blackburn? I'm Blackburn out of the two.
I'd be Blackburn.
Yeah.
And we'll go the final question. Actually, we'll do the final two because they're just here. So Connor van der Ploeg says, Morph and Benici or Mia King and Alice Edmonds? Jaiden.
I haven't heard Mia King's name at all this preseason, so it would be very bold.
Liam's been a little bit keener on Mia King. I know he's had her in her team at every now and again.
I think I would be going Morfitt and Benici. Actually, I don't know. I'd probably do that. Like, you've got a bit of safety with Morfitt with ownership, and then you can captain Benici in round 4.
Yes, yeah, I agree. I'm Morfitt and Benici as well, I think. Final question from Thomas Lou. Is Garner a premium pick, high cost but high ceiling? So, Mitch, obviously you're not going with Marinoff, but has Garner been someone that you've considered?
No. If I'm not paying out for Noffy, I don't think I can pay out for Garner. So I kind of view them very similarly. Garner's probably more likely to obviously be, from what I understand, like the mid that cops the attention and the more damaging player that teams will try to shut down and lock down. So for that reason, my philosophy is, try and avoid paying for those really top tier, really most expensive players unless you've got no other options. And I think there's better options personally.
Yeah. Jaiden, Garner been any consideration for you?
Nah, yeah, same reasoning there. Like, I don't think you can fit Marinoff and Garner. So it's either, I just think Marinoff, like, she's 70% owned. So, like, if you're gonna go against her, it's from a price
And a good early
related
run as well.
It's a price related thing. So why would you like only pay 19,000 less for Garner? And that's just like setting yourself up for what's the real chance of like that working in your favor? I don't think it's very high.
That's being different just for being different sake, if that makes sense. Like being different is okay if you've got like a well thought out kind of different reason behind. I mean, and not to say that Garner can't outscore Noffy. That's absolutely the case, but the risk versus reward, I think, is much less in your favour that way.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to run as well. Like Marinoff's got Port Adelaide, then she's got Fremantle, then Hawthorn, and then Essendon. Pretty good opening month. I know Essendon a little bit tougher, but it is only over when Marinoff is fixture. But it's the first three as well. I think are just really good. I know that Garner's got Brisbane. She's got a tougher run to start, so she's got Brisbane, Geelong, and Melbourne. I know she did have big scores against Geelong and Melbourne last year, but yeah, I think that the early run is in Marinoff's favour. What have we got a couple here, but we're probably gonna have to wrap up, I think, unfortunately. So apologies, guys, we didn't get to all of your questions. Well, hopefully we answered as many as we can, but you guys are legends out there. A heap of you tuning in there. Well over 150 people tuning in, which is fantastic. So, Mitch, any closing thoughts, mate?
No, just pumped to see how things go. I'm a little sad that the Richmond game is at 9:00 tonight for my time. It's very late for me.
That's past your bedtime, mate.
Way past my bedtime. So we'll have to see how those scores shape up in the morning. But no, very, very excited. And just hopefully I don't make a fool of myself. That's the goal for this season. I'm jumping on an AFLW podcast. So the goal is to not make a fool of myself. And we'll see how we go after round one.
Yep, no commitment to the cause, mate. Round one can't even start now. Beautiful. Jaiden, any closing thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I think it's very important to stay switched on to your team over the weekend because
vigilant.
Yeah, like this is the best time of the year right now because you can do whatever you want with your team. Like you can, like tonight, I'm just gonna lock in the players that I've got, and then I kind of am procrastinating doing my whole team. So I'm just putting off. I'm just going to lock in the players that I want tonight, and then hope they go all right. But then, if other things play out over the weekend, and for example, giving Conti the vice captain tonight, she pulls out a 150, then I pretty much have to vice captain her because if I need to bring in a red dot, O'Dowd plays tomorrow very early, so. Those types of things, just kind of plan out your weekend. And my goal is to get another one of these. So this is what you're playing for.
Oh, the flex is right on the end.
He's flexing on us.
Yeah. I was going to wear it, but then it didn't work with my headphones. So
that's now Liam's done it to me, and now you've done it to me, mate. Unbelievable. I just need a hat this year. It just has to happen. I can't. And Mitch is going to have a hat as well, but the men's. So I'm the only one on the pod.
Not here yet, so. We'll see.
Yeah, but you will have one, mate. You've got there's one coming for you. Whereas one for me, nothing coming. So hopefully I get one, but we'll see what happens. And then my closing thoughts is just get ready, just have fun. Obviously, I've got to remember this. At the end of the day, it is a game. At the end of the day, obviously we'll take it pretty seriously. We wouldn't be doing podcasts and then listening and stuff. We didn't take it seriously, but have fun, enjoy the games. It's good to have AFLW footy back, and obviously be across and. The other thing, be across any late changes we saw last year. Kiara Bowers was a late out and people had to pivot. That did shape a lot of the people's seasons. They either went Hayley Miller and their season sank before it even started, or they went for an Emma Swanson or someone like that and was a solid enough pick for a few weeks there. So, so make sure you cross any late outs or anything there. But, Mitch, mate, where can the people find you across the socials and the podcast?
Just find me at Ball Boys Fantasy on Twitter or X and... not too much going on at AFL Fantasy for the Ball Boys in the off season, but once the season for the men's does start again, you can check us out AFL at Ball Boys AFL Fantasy.
Beautiful. Make sure you're going to follow the boys there. Jade, mate, where can the people find you on the website?
Yeah, I've got a bit on the website, so all the fixture stuff I've talked about. Statsbyjaiden.com.au. Links to all my socials are on there as well. So, yeah, good luck with the year.
Beautiful. And you can find me at BalesDT across the socials, and you can find us at AFL Fantasy Fans as well. On Monday, the MVP vote will be back as well. So we'll see who the top 4 scorers are or who the 4 stand-up performers are, and we'll do the vote over on Instagram. So everyone tuning in now will be able to vote for that on Monday. Thought I'd remind people of that as well. Make sure you join our Open League code as well. That's been posted there as well. So make sure you go and join that there. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We just passed 2,700 subscribers, so thank you very much for that. Now 2,800 is the goal and 3K is the big one there as well. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you smash like on the video. If you're listening back to the podcast and you can leave us a 5-star rating and review, that'd be very much appreciated. But very much appreciate everyone that tuned in live for our first pre-lockout chat of the season. We'll be back next week for the same there. We'll let people know what time and stuff are live, and obviously we'll do a pre-recorded podcast for the round recap. So anyway, good luck everyone for this week. Hope you enjoyed the weekend. Hope you guys have good scores, and we'll catch you guys in the round review. So thanks everyone. Good luck for round 1. See ya.